Welcome to the Blue Rose Files. I am your host, the Blue Rose Agent. Thank you for joining me. This is the case of Project Stargate, the U.S. government's real attempt to weaponize psychic perception, a program officially buried in 1995, but whose roots stretch far deeper into the shadows of American intelligence. For decades, stories have circulated, rumors that somewhere inside the Defense Intelligence Agency, in a windowless room with fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, a group of soldiers, scientists, and, yes, psychics, sat down, closed their eyes, and attempted to see beyond the limits of space and time. It sounds like fiction, but the evidence? The evidence is something else entirely. The claim at the center of this file is startling, but not unfamiliar, that during the Cold War, the United States government, not just fringe researchers, not New Age dreamers, but the CIA, the D.I.A., and the U.S. Army, launched a secret program to train and deploy psychic spies, remote viewers, human instruments capable of describing distant targets, hidden military bases, downed aircraft, hostage locations, nuclear sites deep inside the Soviet Union. Official name, Project Stargate. But Stargate wasn't born from wonder. It was born from fear. During the 1970s and 80s, U.S. intelligence believed the Soviets were investing heavily in psychic research, everything from telepathy to psychokinesis to the weaponization of altered states of consciousness, and the United States, paranoid, proud, unwilling to fall behind, had one answer. If the Soviets were training psychic spies, then America would train psychic spies too. That is the claim, not whispered on internet forums, not told by anonymous sources, but written into declassified files stamped with the CIA seal. To understand Stargate, you have to understand the time. The Cold War was a psychological arms race. The threat of nuclear annihilation made every unconventional idea suddenly plausible, even attractive. Official memos from this era reveal something astonishing. The US believed the Soviets were pouring millions into psychic warfare, that they had telepathic communication programs, bioinformation transfer, that they were researching soldiers who could disable electronics with their minds. Whether the Soviets really achieved any of this remains unclear, but what matters is this: the US believed they might, and belief in espionage is enough to trigger action. In 1977, the CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency quietly partnered with physicists at the Stanford Research Institute, SRI, in California. A small team, a sealed lab, a controlled test. The question, can someone, with no prior knowledge, describe a hidden target miles away, purely through mental perception? The first results stunned officials. Ingo Swann, artist, writer, and self-proclaimed psychic, accurately described features of a distant lab apparatus without ever seeing it. Pat Price, a former police officer, reportedly described a hidden Soviet crane facility with details matching classified satellite imagery. And suddenly, the Pentagon wanted more. Remote viewing went from curiosity to classified tool. The program evolved into a full-fledged intelligence unit at Fort Meade, Maryland. Its mission? Support real military operations. This was no longer research, this was espionage. The operatives of Project Stargate were not superheroes. They weren't mystics floating above meditation mats. They were soldiers, technicians, everyday men and women with families, past trauma, and, for reasons scientists still can't explain, an unusual ability to produce statistically significant psychic data. Joe McMoneagle, Army Intelligence Officer, viewer number 001, was one of the most gifted. He participated in hundreds of sessions, claiming to locate downed aircraft, describe hostage scenes, and even sketch foreign weapons programs. Another, Angela Della Fiora, a civilian, provided readings so precise that analysts used them to cross-verify traditional intelligence. The remote viewing protocol was disciplined, almost ritualistic. A viewer sits in a plain room, blindfolded or eyes closed, no information about the target. A monitor guides them through a process: impressions, textures, shapes, emotional tones. Their pencil moves across the page, capturing fleeting intuitions, before the rational mind can interfere. Sometimes they were wrong, spectacularly wrong, but other times, the accuracy reached a level that statistical analysts said should have been impossible. During the 1980s, Stargate was involved in dozens of real intelligence missions. One viewer allegedly located a crashed Soviet bomber in Africa, information later validated. Others attempted to describe underground facilities, missile testing operations, even the location of U.S. hostages in the Middle East. Did remote viewing win the Cold War? No. But was it used? Absolutely. And that fact alone is disturbing, because it reveals something deeper. The U.S. government wasn't merely curious about psychic phenomena, they were willing to operationalize it. As the years passed, cracks appeared. Some viewers burned out, emotionally fractured by the psychological strain. Sessions were inconsistent. Skepticism grew inside the agency. Scientists fought over methodology. Analysts accused the program of confirmation bias. Certain generals, however, became increasingly obsessed with expanding the work into telekinesis, out-of-body missions, and psychic influence, projects that pushed ethics and sanity to their breaking point. By the early 1990s, the program was no longer politically survivable, and in 1995, after nearly 2 decades of operation, Project Stargate was shut down and declassified, or at least the parts they admitted to. So what do we make of it? The official verdict for case file S77 is confirmed but incomplete. Project Stargate was real. Its missions were real. Its results, whatever you believe about the nature of consciousness, were significant enough for the U.S. government to fund the program for almost 20 years. But the full truth, the motives, the classified files, the unanswered questions about where these gifted individuals came from and who else may have been screened, those remain obscured behind redactions, missing documents, and bureaucratic amnesia. Project Stargate is not a conspiracy theory. It's a partially revealed story, with pages deliberately torn out, and what's missing may be even more important than what we've seen. If the United States spent nearly 2 decades training psychic operatives, where did those operatives go after the program closed? If remote viewers could produce accurate intelligence, why did the program truly end? Budget, politics, or something deeper? Did the U.S. continue psychic research under new names, new divisions, or private contractors? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, what is the human mind capable of when stripped of its limits? When pushed into the dark corners of perception where science hesitates to look? We don't know. And in the world of intelligence, we don't know often means we're not supposed to. The blue rose is rare, easily hidden, often misunderstood. Project Stargate, America's psychic espionage program, may be closed on paper, but its shadow stretches long across the history of U.S. intelligence. Perhaps it always will. I think I'll get a slice of pie and a nice cup of black coffee for the road. File closed.